The Washington Wizards defeated the Detroit Pistons yesterday. And to that I have to say, at last, the Wizards have won a game. Their losing days are over. At last. All right. And welcome to the Preach Wizards podcast. We do a little bit of mix of music and basketball here. And today we're going to quickly touch on that Wizards win against the Pistons on March 14th. But really what we're here to do today is to compare the Washington Wizards to the Sacramento Kings. We're going to do a roster comparison, a little bit of a trade comparison, and so on. Feel free to skip ahead to that part of the video if you're not here for any Pistons review, but that's going to be short and sweet. All that coming next on the Preach Wizards podcast. You know what time it is. It's time to preach. All right, at last, the Wizards have a win. Feeling good about that Detroit win. They did what they should do against Detroit. We're not going to talk too much about it. The Detroit Pistons, they had 8 injured players on the roster. Really, everyone who's going to make some noise for them is hurt. This is what the Wizards should do. The current Detroit Pistons roster might have trouble playing a college team right now. The Wizards, and I don't think the Wizards over-celebrated. I was going to think that felt a little bit funny if they did. They totally didn't. I feel like they just went in there. They knew they were going to win that game. They did. One great result of this win was we got to see Johnny Davis get some real minutes during this game, and he 11 points, which is great. A lot of people knocking him. 11 points is great. Really what we want to see out of him in this game. I certainly wasn't expecting him to go out and have a 20 or 30 point game or anything like that. I feel like it's a great starting point for him. Now, granted, he wasn't playing a team. He's probably playing the worst team in the league right now, especially considering the injuries. So nothing to get overly excited about with Johnny Davis. But, at the end of the day, as Wizards fans, we should feel good about that Johnny Davis appearance, and I hope that they start to give him more minutes. Just to touch more on Johnny Davis playing, there seemed to be a lot of moments where he didn't know exactly where to go as far as spacing on the floor. Learning spacing, I know, is very difficult for some players, especially in their rookie year. They're still just getting used to the system in place for the Wizards. I know a little less about that, but I could notice even that there was a lot of times where Johnny Davis was just too close to another player on the three-point line. I remember Kristaps Porzingis pointed him in a direction once, which again isn't weird, but I could tell Davis has this deer in the headlights kind of look when he's in the offense sometimes, and he seems to be kind of avoiding the ball. Corey Kispert actually used to do that too. Corey Kispert, as soon as he got the ball, he got rid of it, immediately. And I had forgotten about that because now Kispert is not afraid to handle the basketball and goes downhill with the ball. So maybe someone had a conversation with Corey Kispert about that. And maybe the same could happen with Johnny Davis. Because watch him. As soon as he gets the ball, he's just gone. He throws it away immediately. So that's something that certainly needs to improve for Johnny. But it all comes with just getting comfortable. I thought that was a nice little outing for him to just feel comfortable in an NBA uniform and in an NBA setting. And I really hope we could see more from him. Man, if he was out there running our offense as a point guard, that would be so cool. I don't think he's anywhere close to being able to do something like that at this time, but I loved what I saw. And yeah, it was just great. A lot of great moments for all the Wizards there. But again, nothing to get too excited about, talk about for too long. It was a really suffering Detroit Pistons team. I don't want to take away from anyone who was out there, but the Wizards were going to win that game. They did what they should do. I'm glad it wasn't close, or else we'd really be concerned here. So don't one side of this coin we could say, yeah, of course the Wizards, you're supposed to win this game. Well, they did. They did. They did win this game. They did what they were supposed to do. We move forward. We move on. And that's what we're going to do now. I want to do a couple different Wizards comparisons to some other small market teams in the NBA. One that really sticks out to me is the Sacramento Kings because of how great they're doing this season in the West. The Cleveland Cavaliers is another team I want to look at. They've consistently been doing well. I think at least past 2 seasons, I haven't looked at all, but maybe the past 3. So the reason why I wanted to touch on the Sacramento Kings is because even last year, the Sacramento Kings, I want to say they didn't make the playoffs even. We're going to find the answer to that in just a moment. I want to look at some of the Sacramento Kings rosters and also their win-loss and some of their trades that they went through and compare it to the Washington Wizards. I actually think that we're about a year behind them right now in a good way, meaning that next year could potentially, with some moves, either lead to the Wizards falling behind, or if we make the right choices, which is tough to do, it could be kind of a coming out party for the Wizards, just like it was for the Sacramento Kings. That might sound like a lot, but I think it's possible when we start to look at the similarities between these two franchises. So before we look at literally the rosters of both teams or their records, there was one other comparison I wanted to make, and it was between the Milwaukee Buck games between both teams. I've been dying to watch a Sacramento Kings game this year. Sometimes I just forget, and it was a Wizards day off. I believe they played them on Monday, and it was Sacramento Milwaukee at 10 o'clock. Great. I was like, I'm definitely watching this. And there was a couple of notes I wrote down that I wanted to compare to the Wizards games, and then we can look at some stats as well. So why don't I jump over there now? I'm actually going to go. Oh, sorry about that, you guys. It looks like my screen is not set up. I don't have a. Let's see if I can get this working. There we go. Okay, sorry for the delay. But we have the Wizards. So the Wizards played the Bucks on Sunday, March 5th, and lost 117 to 111. And on Monday, March 13th, the Milwaukee Bucks played the Sacramento Kings. This is a pretty good sample size for us, right? It wasn't that far apart as far as the games here, both after the All-Star break within a week of each other. So really something great to look at. Here is one thing I want to mention. Let's talk Kings first. I'll go to their score. Let's talk about what I saw for the Sacramento Kings, because if you're a Wizards fan, you saw what you saw from the Wizards. The Sacramento Kings have had a complete culture change in their organization and in every area. The seats are full, for one thing. The way I stream some of the games, it'll show you what they're doing in the stadiums. Their food seemed fancy that they had that was there. The staff seemed excited. There was an electricity in the arena that was reminiscent of almost like a Golden State kind of atmosphere. These types of things start to snowball when you're winning. And when you're winning, it doesn't just have to do with the team. Coaching's huge, front office. So there's a lot of the right things happening in Sacramento that snowball to this culture change that happens. And one, they are trying to, of course, build a winning atmosphere. The pressure, the stakes, the accountability of the players, everything's higher. The Wizards, unfortunately, I have to report, they do not have this. And this is, it takes all the right pieces to make something like this happen. But if you're a Kings fan, you should feel great right now because, wow, they've got this figured out. So I want to talk about the first quarter of this Bucks game with the Kings. Something happened that I've never seen it for in a Wizards game ever. I've been watching the Wizards. I went to a Wizards game when Jordan was still playing for the Wizards. I've never seen this from the Wizards. So this is one, I had to bring it up. I have the exact statistics here from it. Let me pull that up as well. Sorry for the delays. All right, but this is a stat I just had to share. Okay, so their head coach, Mike Brown, it is the beginning of the game. 10 minutes and let's say 45 seconds are left in the first quarter. Game's just started. Kings had hit 2 quick threes. People are going crazy. And then the Giannis comes down the court and scores a quick 2. It was effortless. It was just like almost like a wide open layup. Really quick 2. Mike Brown calls a timeout. There's 10 minutes, and I think I wrote down 10 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. The game has just started, but they gave up an easy layup. Mike Brown, their head coach, calls a timeout for the Kings, is hot about that possession. It wasn't going to work. He was holding everyone out there accountable for what happened. That early in the game, the Bucks had scored their first 2 points, and Mike Brown's going, it's not going to work if we play. I'm telling y'all right now, it's not going to work if we play like this. It was awesome. It made my heart hurt going, wow, we are not ready to win yet in Washington on this scale. We can get there. I really do think we can get there, but it's cool to see it in action. Like, what is it about winning? That's one of those things. That's part of this culture change that's happened. To build a winning atmosphere like that, everyone needs to be held accountable. And the coach is a fierce leader. And doing something like that makes you a fierce leader. And people are going to follow. He's not going to let you play lazy defense. It was the first offensive bucket of the game for the Bucks, and he was livid. I thought that was an amazing moment for the Kings. And as a Wizards fan, you might not feel too good about that because, and I, by the way, I could be dead wrong. Let me know if you remember in recent time something like this happening, specifically within the last 3 to 5 years. But that was great. And the other thing, the Kings came out and were really playing with attitude, and they were taking it personally. This game, they're like, this is a potential playoff game, right? Because it could be. Kings are third in the West, Bucks are first. You never know. This could be the NBA Finals. It's not likely that the Kings will get there, but if they did, it could be. So the Kings were treating it that way, and they had attitude. A right kind of attitude, not a smiley attitude like the Wizards can have. And they were ready to get mean. It ended up not working out for them, which I think speaks to shed some positive light on the Wizards. The Wizards played a somewhat decent game against Milwaukee, and they rose to the occasion. So if we can figure out this consistency thing, there's not a lot we have to worry about because the Kings still lost. They played a great game. It was electric in there, but honestly, the Wizards had a better shot of winning their game in the third and fourth quarter than the Kings ultimately did, I think. So, again, the Kings end up losing 133 to 124. Just to look at some stat comparisons, Sacramento, they had a hot first quarter, but the first and the second... the first and the second quarter, Sacramento outscored Milwaukee 32 to 27 in the first quarter, 30 to 26 in the second quarter. So they had a lead going into halftime. Now the Milwaukee Bucks end up outscoring them 37 to 25 in the third. I believe they overtook the lead there, and I'm not doing the quick math. And then 43 to 37 in the fourth. So ultimately, the Kings just couldn't keep up in the second half. Now, if we go over to the Wizards outscored 30. The Bucks outscored the Wizards 34 to 28 in the first. Same thing, 25-20 in the second. So we were down 48 to 59. So down by 11 going into the half. But third quarter, Wizards outscored the Bucks 32 to 24, and then 34 to 31 in the fourth. It was close. We're good about sort of this comeback kind of a game. It's not something you love to see, but hey, I mean, it was something. It was a good game against a really, really good Milwaukee Bucks team. I mean, that they're incredible in the East. We're not even ready. They're a team that can competes for a championship. We're not there. I think we need to learn to win. Is a different thing, right? The Bucks know how to win. They know how to win titles. That's the big difference, right? So we're not comparing to the Bucks. Let's compare to the Kings. So some pros for both teams here, and I'm going to get rid of these tabs. Now let's hop in really in depth to this Kings comparison here. First, I'll go to record. Oh, there's some Wizards Pistons stats. Oh yeah, one stat that stuck out to me, I X'd out of the tab, was the 3-point shooting percentage. Washington's was horrible. It was like 27% or something like that. I don't remember what Sacramento's was, 33, 34. It was much better. they made a lot more threes than we did too. So our 3-point shooting percentage has to go up. Okay, so this is let's see, landofbasketball.com. Thank you for this. No sponsor, obviously. So let's see. I want to talk Wizards records. So right now we are in the 2022-23 season, and it has 32 and 37. So this just hasn't been updated yet, and that's okay. Let's go back to 20. Where do I have these rosters? 2020, 2021. Okay. Let's go back to 2020, 2021 for both teams. So in 2020, the Wizards went 34. The 2020-2021 season, the Wizards went 34 and 38. The Sacramento Kings went 31 and 41. They were 12th. We were 8th, and we were in the playoffs and won a game. So kind of interesting there. If I remember right, did we have Russ this season? I guess it'll show me if we did. Did we end up trading him? At some point, when was, my brain is all over the place now. When was the Russell Westbrook era? Let me see here. Let's see if we can look at a roster here. Sorry, you guys. This is going to take some delay because I want to get my... Yeah, okay. Westbrook. Yeah, Westbrook was here. Point guard Westbrook. Okay, yeah, so Westbrook was here in the 2020. So this was the reason why I bring that up. That year when we did go to the playoffs, Westbrook kind of willed us there. Okay, so we had a better record than the Kings, and let's compare now their roster. This was our year. We still had Spencer Dinwiddie. Westbrook was on the team. Again, he's what's willing us to the playoffs. Beal's in the lineup. Kuzma's in the lineup. This is Kyle Kuzma's first year becoming a pure scorer, we'll call him, like being able to lead a team like this. Okay, so Kyle Kuzma's just getting into this role after a trade. All right. So we've got Kuzma. Maybe by the end of this season is when we traded Westbrook. Sorry, I'm getting my dates mixed up. That part's not as important. Kuzma's here. He's feeling it out. Let me just double check. Yeah, he's not here before. So this year, Kuzma comes to the team. I think it was after the trade deadline. So he's falling into that role. But no, by no means is he there by the end of this season. It's just too small of a sample size. The Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley. I don't know who Holmes is. But, these are some key players, and a couple of them still around today, specifically Fox and Barnes, right? They have some pieces that they're working with. We have a better record than them, but Westbrook, probably helped will us there. If I'm getting that wrong about Westbrook on this season, yeah, it has to be, because we went when Westbrook was here. So, yeah, I'm not wrong. Westbrook willed us into that. Okay, so because the next year was Wes Unseld's first year. All right, so we get to the playoffs, but let's not look too deeply into that. It was a willed into the playoffs, we'll call it. Okay, now the 2021-2022 season, the Wizards 35 for 47, and the Kings 30 and 52. So still 12, like a really big drop in the ratings. So now let's move the rosters up there as well. What's going on with the Wizards? We did not make the playoffs. We were 12th in the East. So we dropped to where the Kings exactly where they are, 12th in the West. Look at that. Look at that comparison. And Monte Morris, Beal, Avdia, Kuzma, Porzingis, but we get again. Porzingis is picked up later in the season, or did we grab him last season at the end? Yeah. This is his first full season with us. I'm pretty sure. See, now you guys, I'm getting confused. I'll do another one of these recaps. So we get a new lineup, but we're still feeling it out. Yeah, that's what it is. We're still feeling out. We get Porzingis in a Dinwiddie trade. This lineup is still not what, even though this looks like our current lineup, here it is again. with some of the same players. That this lineup here isn't that accurate. This is a pretty accurate starting lineup, and this is of this year. So we're still like falling into that role. But Porzingis is new to the team. We still haven't played a full season together. Wow. Now the Kings pick up Herter. And let me see this. Where did they get Kevin Herter from? Okay, so it would have been from Atlanta. And that was a huge pickup for them. He still starts, I believe. Harrison Barnes is here. They draft Murray as well, Keegan Murray. And he plays good minutes for them. And they make that big Sabonis trade. And they didn't have it all figured out by the end of this year. Who was their head coach? Was there a coaching change as well? Let's figure that out. Sacramento Kings coaches all time. Let's see if we can find quickly here. Or maybe when did Mike Brown begin coaching the Sacramento Kings? Come on, don't stall us here. Yeah, in May. So yeah, Mike Brown, a coach change. So they got a coach that could make it happen, and they got all these players, and they created this winning culture. But for us, we've got the new coach, we've got the new lineup, and I think we are here with this Wizards roster. With this Wizards roster, let me switch it up. With this Wizards roster this year, you guys know who's playing. This isn't the only people who start. It's been fluctuating. Here we go to some other starting lineups that are written here. I think we are there, and if we go to this year, see, look how similar of a lineup that is. Is it exactly the same? It's exactly the same. So that's my point. We are in the first year of this lineup being exactly the same. We're in the first year. And the Sacramento Kings are in the second year of that, creating that culture. And it's because they made the right moves at the right time, and they were able to settle in and learn how to play together. I think the Wizards not making a move during the trade deadline, it could have been an attempt at this. Are we looking to settle into our roster? Clearly, it can have a big effect. Look at that. Same thing. And for us, it's pretty much the same too. Okay? They're just floating some players in and out of who's starting per game. So we are learning how to play together, and I think we could be about a move away from creating this winning in Washington, So that's going to wrap it up for my Kings comparison. And really, just to summarize, the Wizards, I believe, are a year away from either creating a new winning culture like the Kings or blowing up. Because if this lineup doesn't work, there's something that has to be done. At the end of the season, is Kuzma going to be here? Is Porzingis going to be here? There's a lot of questions. So they either stick together and start winning games next year, like the Kings, or it's over. You know what I mean? Say goodnight. All right, on that note, you guys, thanks for being here. That's all I got to preach about today. That's my Washington Wizards Sacramento Kings comparison. At last, the Wizards win a game. And we're just going to play out with that. See y'all later. Preach.